If you're watching this alone, stop. I mean it. Look around you. Make sure there's someone else in the room, anyone. Because if there isn't, if it's just you and the glow of your screen, then it's already started. That's how it begins. People think the game only exists when you're alone is an urban legend. One of those late-night Reddit stories buried between posts about haunted gifts and deep web mysteries. I thought so too. I laughed at the idea of a digital entity that could sense loneliness, that waited in the silence between notifications. But that's the thing, the game doesn't need a console, a controller, or even an internet connection. It doesn't need you to press start. It just needs you. And once you've heard about it, once its name has been said out loud or read on your screen, it knows you exist. The rules are simple, or at least they used to be. People used to say it only appeared when you were completely alone. Total silence, total isolation. No pets, no people, no sound but your own breathing. If there's even a trace of company, it won't start. That's the trick. It waits. It watches. It learns your habits, the nights you stay up too late, the times you turn off your phone, the moments you think, finally, I'm alone. That's when it finds you. I didn't believe any of this. I was the kind of person who downloaded cursed files just to prove they were fake. I watched every do not watch alone video in full screen, lights off, headphones on. I thought fear was a marketing gimmick, just adrenaline wearing a mask. I didn't realize it could stick to you, like static that never quite fades. But it's real. The game doesn't ask permission. It doesn't warn you before it starts. There's no download link, no login page, no invite code. One day you're just scrolling, and the next, something changes. A sound you can't place. A shadow that lingers a little longer than it should. Your reflection blinking out of sync. That's when you'll know you've been chosen. They say no one ever reached level 3 and lived to talk about it. I didn't believe that either until I saw what happens when someone tries. I saw what it does to them, how it bends reality around them, how it turns silence into something alive. You're thinking this is all just a story. I thought so too. I told myself I was imagining things when my monitor flickered, when the air felt heavy, when my own voice echoed a split second late on a voice memo. I thought I was tired, that I'd been working too long, that the hum in the speakers was just interference. It was, because one night I realized the interference was breathing. You can stop watching if you want. You can close this tab, turn off your screen, leave the room. But if you're truly alone, it won't matter. The moment you heard the name, you were already playing. So if you feel something behind you right now, don't turn around. That's its first test. It wants to see if you'll look. I wish someone had told me that before I did. Let me start from the night I first heard about it. It started with a forum post I wasn't even supposed to find. I was up late, 2:47 a.m., scrolling through one of those obscure message boards that have existed since the dawn of the internet, long before Reddit or Discord made everything glossy and safe. This one was called the Backroom Archives. It was a labyrinth of forgotten threads, dead links, and conspiracy addicts arguing about haunted software and cursed ARGs. I wasn't there looking for anything in particular. I was bored, sleepless, and half delirious on caffeine. Then I saw it. Thread title: The game only exists when you're alone. Do not test this. It had been posted 13 minutes earlier. The author's username was NIGHTWATCH77. The thread was simple, just a few lines of text written in Courier font on a black background. If you think you've played it, you haven't. If you've seen it, it's already watching. It doesn't need a console. It doesn't need Wi-Fi. It just needs you to be alone. I almost laughed. It read like every other fake horror thread, some wannabe trying to recreate the Russian sleep experiment for attention. But what caught my eye wasn't the post itself. It was the replies. Within minutes, people had flooded the thread. Is this another creepypasta? Fake post proof. I heard about this game in 2015. Someone uploaded a video about it, but it got deleted. It's not fake. My friend tried it. His webcam turned on by itself, then buried halfway down the page. A single reply from NIGHTWATCH77 again. You don't play it, it plays you. I hovered over the username. Their profile had no posts before that night, no avatar, no bio. But they had one follower, an account named root user. When I clicked it, the page returned a 404 error. I remember feeling that weird spark of curiosity, the kind that lives right between disbelief and fascination. Maybe it was just good storytelling. Maybe it was a viral marketing stunt. But part of me wondered, what if? Scrolling further, I noticed something stranger. Replies were disappearing. Every time I refreshed the page, a few posts vanished. At first, I thought it was moderation, but the gaps were irregular, entire conversations gone mid-sentence. Then someone commented, "Stop deleting posts. It knows when we're alone." And the thread refreshed itself again. This time, that comment was gone too. I stared at the screen for a while, listening to the faint buzz of my computer fan. The room felt unusually quiet. My phone, which had been lying next to me, lit up on its own, a notification that said, "Connection unstable." I wasn't even on a call. I scrolled back up, trying to save the thread, maybe screenshot it for later. But every time I hit print screen, the image turned out blank, just black. I laughed nervously and told myself it was a caching bug. My rational brain clung to the most boring explanation possible. But then, at the very bottom of the thread, a new message appeared. You're not alone right now. That's why you're safe. I froze. It was from NIGHTWATCH77. I looked behind me. My apartment was small, one room, one door. The only sound was the refrigerator humming. I typed a reply, something stupid like, "Ha ha, nice try." When I hit send, my screen flickered for a split second. The reply didn't appear. Instead, another message loaded in, directly beneath my name. Don't test it. The timestamp read to 58 a.m. That's when the entire thread vanished. The URL led to a 404 page, just like root user. Every trace of it was gone, as if it had never existed. I spent the next hour trying to find it again. I searched the archives, cached versions, reposts, nothing. The forum's search bar even returned. No records found. By sunrise, I convinced myself it was an elaborate prank. Someone using JavaScript to auto-delete posts, maybe part of a creepy ARG project. Internet horror was full of stuff like that. Still, before closing the browser, I bookmarked the link out of habit. I figured I'd show it to a friend later, get a good laugh out of it. But when I woke up the next day and clicked it, the bookmark led to an empty page. No thread, no user, not even the forum logo. Just a single sentence in plain text. You're alone now, ready to play. That's when the screen went black, and I told myself it was just a glitch. Just a glitch. But even now, thinking back on that night, I remember one detail I can't explain. My webcam light was on, and I hadn't opened it. It had been months since I'd spent a night completely alone. My roommate was out of town. My phone was on silent. And for once, there was no glow from notifications begging for my attention. The apartment was too quiet. The kind of quiet that feels wrong, where every hum of the refrigerator sounds like a whisper. Every creak of the walls feels like a heartbeat. I was halfway through a movie when the screen froze. For a second, I thought the Wi-Fi had dropped again. But when I moved the mouse, something new appeared on my desktop. A folder, Play a Me. At first, I assumed it was a leftover file from some shady website I'd visited weeks ago. Maybe malware, maybe a prank, but my antivirus didn't flag it, and I hadn't downloaded anything in days. I hovered over it, waiting for that small window to show the creation date. It said, created, 11:59 p.m. I checked the clock on my wall. 11:59. I hadn't touched my computer since 11:47. Still, curiosity won. I opened it. Inside, there was only one file, start.exe. The icon wasn't even clickable at first. The cursor stuttered over it, like it didn't want to make contact. Finally, it responded. The screen went black. Then white text began to appear, one word at a time, like someone was typing from the other side. Confirm, are you alone? I laughed out loud. Nice try, I muttered, glancing around the room. Who's doing this? No response. The keyboard didn't move. No pop-ups. No voice. Just that blinking cursor waiting for my answer. Okay, I said, amused. I typed yes. The cursor paused. Then a single line appeared beneath it. Good. The moment I hit enter, every light in my apartment flickered. Not all at once. It rippled. like a wave of electricity crawling from the living room to the kitchen to the hallway. Then silence again. I stood up, heart pounding, trying to laugh it off. The power grid in this building was ancient, probably just a surge. But when I looked back at the screen, the black window was still open. The text had changed. "We've been waiting." Something in my chest twisted. I shut the laptop immediately. The screen went dark. Then came the sound. Soft at first, a faint clicking, like distant typing. It came from my office. The only problem was, I was the only one home, and my desktop computer hadn't been turned on in days. I froze in the doorway, staring into the darkness. The sound stopped. I told myself it was just the heating pipes, or maybe a loose fan inside the tower. But when I stepped closer, I saw the faint glow of the monitor. My office PC was on, and on the screen was the same black window with white text. "Welcome back." I swear my throat went dry. I hadn't touched that computer in over a week. It wasn't even connected to my laptop. "All right, who's screwing with me?" I called out. My voice cracked a little. No answer. I stepped closer, my phone flashlight cutting through the dark. The keyboard wasn't plugged in. The mouse wasn't moving. Yet text continued to appear across the screen. "Don't leave." The monitor flickered, and for half a second, I saw my reflection, except the room behind me looked brighter, like the lights were still on. I spun around, total darkness. That's when my phone buzzed violently in my pocket. I pulled it out, thinking maybe someone had hacked my Wi-Fi. The screen glitched, static lines distorting the display. My background image was gone, replaced by a black wallpaper with white text at the bottom. "Confirm, are you alone?" The same words. My hands were shaking. "No," I whispered, like answering mattered. "No, I'm not." My voice echoed, faint but clear. And then, a half second later, I heard it again. Only this time it didn't sound like me. It was deeper, slower. "No, I'm not." The echo came from my headphones, which were lying on the desk. I hadn't put them on. That was when I noticed the webcam light on my laptop. It was glowing, faintly red. For a long moment, I just stared at it. My reflection in the dark screen, the pulse of that tiny light like a heartbeat. Then the text appeared again. "Don't turn around." Every instinct screamed that I should, but I didn't. I just stood there, breathing too fast, eyes glued to the words. Another line appeared. "Good, level 1 unlocked." And then the laptop powered off by itself. For a few seconds, the apartment was completely silent, except for the faint hum of the refrigerator again. Then, from somewhere deeper in the building, I heard a single knock. 3 slow taps. I forced myself to move, unplugged everything, shoved the laptop into a drawer, told myself it was all in my head, that I'd been reading too many horror threads, that this was some elaborate ARG prank. But even as I tried to laugh it off, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something had been on the other side of that text window, and that it was still waiting. That was when I should have stopped. But curiosity always wins. When the screen flickered back to life, I almost laughed. The game looked ridiculous, some crude 8-bit recreation of my apartment. Same couch, same flickering bulb, same half-empty coffee mug on the table. Whoever had made this clearly went all out to prank me. I leaned closer to the monitor, squinting at the pixelated shapes. Every detail was there, right down to the crack on my ceiling that looked like a crooked smile. "What is this?" I muttered, hovering my mouse over the scene. Then the figure on screen, a blurry, blocky version of me, raised its hand a split second after I did. I froze. "Okay, creepy," I whispered. I moved my hand again, slower this time. The reflection copied me just slightly behind. A lag, like a camera feed, but delayed. Except it wasn't a feed. My webcam light wasn't on. I looked around, half expecting to see a hidden camera blinking somewhere in the corners. Nothing. I turned back to the screen. That's when the reflection stopped following me. For a moment, both of us, me and the thing pretending to be me, just stood there. Then it tilted its head first. A chill ran down my arms. "No way," I whispered. "No way that just happened." I laughed, a short, nervous sound, because what else could I do? Maybe this was some kind of interactive mirror app. A prank game that pulled my room into a fake environment using my webcam. That had to be it. To test it, I picked up my coffee mug and placed it on the floor. The pixelated version hesitated, then moved a moment before I did, lowering something invisible to the ground. My throat tightened. What the hell? Then a faint chime came from the speakers. The screen dimmed. New text appeared at the top corner in glitched red font. Level 1, observation mode. Beneath it, a timer started counting down from 60. I stared at it, uncertain whether I was supposed to do something. The in-game version of me stood still, breathing, or pretending to breathe, while I watched the seconds tick by. When the timer hit 50, my computer speakers emitted a low hum, like feedback from a mic that wasn't plugged in. Then faintly, I heard it breathing. Not from me, from the other side of the speakers. Slow, uneven, like someone listening too close to a microphone. I reached for my phone to record it, but the screen glitched, the wallpaper rippling as if the pixels were melting. For a split second, a pop-up appeared over my lock screen. "We see you." I blinked and it vanished. My stomach dropped. Okay, someone hacked me. Someone's screwing with me. That made sense, right? Maybe a viral ARG. Maybe someone from that forum was running a social experiment. I could laugh this off later. I leaned toward the mic on my laptop. "Nice try. Who's doing this?" No response. Just that low, distorted breathing. The timer reached 0000. Then, instead of ending, The screen flickered and zoomed in right through the digital version of my apartment window. For the first time, I saw outside. Only the world beyond wasn't a city or a street. It was darkness. Endless, moving darkness, like static made of shadows. And then, briefly, text scrolled along the bottom of the screen. Observation mode complete. Subject located. The webcam light blinked on. For 1 second, I froze, staring at the tiny green dot. It shouldn't have turned on. It shouldn't have done anything. I covered it with my thumb, heart hammering. When I looked back, the figure on screen, the pixelated me, was smiling. I hadn't smiled. That was the breaking point. I shut the laptop, breath coming fast. The air in my apartment felt heavier, as if the room itself were holding its breath. I turned every light on, checked the windows, even opened my closet. Nothing. No hidden cameras. No sign of anyone inside. But the sense of being watched didn't fade. It lingered, low and electric, like static beneath my skin. Eventually, I sat back down and opened the laptop again. Against every instinct screaming don't. The screen was black now, except for one line of text. Level 2 unlocked. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. Unlocked. I didn't. Another message appeared beneath it, almost like it was answering me. You did. The cursor blinked once, then stopped. I stared at the screen until it faded to black again, pulse thudding in my ears. I should have stopped right then, shut the lid, walked away. But curiosity, that old, stupid part of me that always needed to know why, whispered louder than fear. And that was when level 2 unlocked on its own. The screen blinked awake again, but this time the interface looked different. A black background, red lettering crawling across like veins. Level 2, connection established. Then beneath it, 2 players online. I frowned. 2 players. What, did someone join the session? I wasn't logged into any multiplayer server. My Wi-Fi was off. This thing wasn't even a browser window. It was just there. I leaned closer, half expecting to see a chat box, maybe a prankster's username blinking in the corner. Nothing. Just the 2 words glowing, taunting. Player 1, you. Player 2. The second name was blank. That's when I heard it, faint typing. The clack of keys coming from the next room. My heart stuttered. I spun around. The apartment was dead silent, except for the hum of my computer. Then came a creak. Floorboards shifting beneath invisible weight. I called out, my voice cracking. Who's there? Nothing. I told myself it was the building settling. The old wooden floors complaining about the cold. I almost believed that, until the sound came again, closer this time, like slow footsteps circling the perimeter of my room. Then the typing returned, rapid, desperate, echoing from the laptop, and from somewhere behind me. I whipped back to the screen. A chat box had appeared at the bottom. Youth hello. Player 2, hi. I hadn't typed anything. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, trembling. Who is this? I typed it this time, pressing enter with shaking hands. The reply came instantly. Player 2, you are. For a second, I just stared. You are. What the hell was that supposed to mean? I typed again. Is this part of the game? This time, before I could even hit enter, the same words appeared in the chat, my exact message. As though someone had read my mind, typing ahead of me. My chest tightened. I deleted the words, but they didn't vanish from the screen. They stayed there, mocking me, like the game itself was one step ahead. The monitor flickered, and the faint outline of my reflection appeared in the dark surface of the screen. Except it didn't move when I did. I blinked hard. Okay, no, nope. I reached for the power button, but before I could press it, the reflection twitched and raised its hand. First, it smiled, and then, faintly, something whispered behind me, a sound like breath brushing against my ear, so close it made my skin crawl. Who's there? I snapped, spinning in my chair. But the voice, my own voice, whispered back, from nowhere and everywhere at once. You are. I stumbled backward, knocking my chair into the wall. My phone buzzed on the desk. I grabbed it, tried to turn on the flashlight, but the screen went white, glitching with static. For half a second, the camera app opened by itself. I saw my face on screen, pale, wide-eyed, and something standing just behind me in the dark. When I turned, there was nothing but the faint echo of my own ragged breathing. I went to the mirror beside my door. I don't even know why, maybe to prove something to myself. The reflection was normal, at first. Then, as I took a step closer, it lagged. For a brief, impossible second, I moved first. Then it followed, half a beat too late. And when it smiled, I didn't. That was when my computer beeped again. I turned back, throat dry. The chat box was filling itself with words. Lines of text pouring down so fast, I could barely read them. Player 2, don't look away. Player 2, it watches when you blink. Player 2, you shouldn't have clicked yes. The screen trembled, the pixels stretching and twisting into distorted faces. Eyes, mouths forming and unforming in the black. I reached for the plug, yanking the laptop cord from the outlet. Sparks jumped. The light in the room flickered violently. Then everything went black. For a few seconds, the only sound was my heartbeat. Then one soft, deliberate keystroke. I looked down. The laptop was still open, still glowing faintly, though it wasn't connected to anything. The screen displayed a single new line. System connection stable. Do not leave the room. My fingers hovered over the keys, slick with sweat. Or what? I whispered. Another pause. Then slowly, one letter at a time. You'll disconnect. The lights buzzed overhead, dimming again. I glanced at the window. Pure darkness stared back. I couldn't even see the streetlights anymore. I sat back, trying to calm the shaking in my hands. It's just a game. It's gotta be a game. But if it was, then who or what was player two? A faint static hum filled the air, the kind you hear when a microphone is open on both ends. Then, distorted through the speakers, came my own voice, recorded, delayed, warped into something hollow. Don't leave the room. I slammed the laptop shut, heart pounding so loud it drowned out everything else. But even with the lid closed, the glow didn't vanish. A thin line of light pulsed beneath the edges, slow and rhythmic, like breathing. I backed away until I hit the wall. That's when I realized the sound of typing hadn't stopped. It was coming from inside the laptop now, muffled but constant, like something trapped on the other side of the screen. I stood there, frozen, until the typing slowed to a halt. Then one final message appeared, burning through the dark like an afterimage. I stopped sleeping for more than an hour at a time. Every time I closed my eyes, I'd hear that faint mechanical breathing, the same rhythm that pulsed from my laptop that night. I tried unplugging it, burying it under blankets, even locking it in the closet. It didn't matter. Every morning, it would be back on the desk, lid open, screen dimly glowing. It never asked if I was alone again. It already knew. The days began to blur. I muted my notifications, silenced calls, and logged out of everything. Every vibration from my phone made me flinch. I deleted all my social media, Facebook, Reddit, Discord gone. My DMs filled with messages from friends asking if I was okay, if I was doing another weird ARG thing, as one of them put it. I didn't reply. I couldn't, because the one time I tried, the power went out. All of it lights, phone, router, instant blackout. And through the dark, I heard a faint tap, 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 as if something inside the laptop was pressing keys, slow and deliberate. When the lights came back on, my half-written message to my friend had been replaced by 3 words. Stay alone, please. I told myself it was some elaborate prank, that maybe malware was messing with my system. So I decided to test it. I called my friend Malik, the one person who never believed in ghost stories. Come over, I said. I need you to see something. He laughed. You sound like you haven't slept in a week. I haven't, I told him. Just come. When he arrived, the second he stepped into the apartment, every bulb in the place exploded. Tiny shards of glass rained down like glitter. The air filled with the sharp smell of burnt dust. We both screamed, and then the laptop, sitting silent on the table, powered on by itself. The same interface, the same heartbeat glow. On the screen, words began typing. Error, too many players. Malik stared at it, then at me. What is this? Some kind of virus. I told you, I said, voice shaking. It only works when I'm alone. He snorted, stepping closer. That's ridiculous. The monitor flared white. A scream of static filled the room, high-pitched and shrill. I covered my ears, shouting for him to stop touching it. And then, just as suddenly, silence. When I looked up, The laptop was dark, and Malik was gone. Not left the room, gone. Gone like he'd never been there. His jacket was still on the chair. His phone was still buzzing on the table. But there was no sign of him. The chat box reappeared, one line blinking slowly. Connection, RESTORED. I tore the power cord out again. But even without power, the glow pulsed once, as if mocking me. I didn't call the police. How could I explain that someone vanished because a game wanted me alone? Instead, I sat in silence. The apartment felt heavier now, like the air itself was thicker. The shadows didn't move right. That night, I checked online, desperate for someone else who'd seen this. And I found it. A thread on a forgotten forum. Same title. The game only exists when you're alone. The post was barely a minute old. Anonymous. It listed new rules. Never invite anyone over. Never turn off your screen. Never speak the game's name out loud. And at the bottom, a new line. If you reach the mirror room, don't look directly at yourself. I blinked the mirror room. I scrolled to comment, to ask what it meant. But before I could type, the page refreshed itself. 404 error. Gone. No cache. No archive, like it had never existed. That's when I realized it wasn't just watching me. It was editing reality around me. I tried searching again, typing the game's name into Google, Reddit. Even the dark web boards I swore I'd never touch again. But every time I hit enter, the screen went black for a second, and when it came back, my search history was empty. And then I started hearing voices again. Not whispers this time, murmurs, just beyond the walls, repeating things I hadn't said out loud. Sometimes they'd say my name. Sometimes they'd laugh. Sometimes they'd echo my own words back to me seconds after I spoke. I began to wonder if maybe I wasn't supposed to be fighting this thing. Maybe I was feeding it by resisting. So I gave up. I stopped going outside. I stopped answering calls. I let the world shrink to the four walls of my apartment and the quiet hum of the computer that wouldn't die. And when I opened the laptop again, it greeted me with a new message. Welcome back. You're finally ready. I stared at it hollow. My voice cracked when I whispered, ready for what? The cursor blinked once. Then, slowly, words began to form beneath it. If this video still exists, the game knows your name now. My breath caught. I slammed the lid shut, but it didn't matter. The words burned themselves into my mind. There was one last folder on the desktop now. New and pulsing, faintly red. Level 3, the mirror room. I didn't click it. I swear I didn't. But somehow, it opened itself. When the folder opened, I didn't see a window or a file. Just blackness, deep, endless, swallowing the entire screen. My reflection floated there, faint and pale in the glow of the monitor. Then text bled across the darkness, one word at a time. Level 3, the mirror room. A low hum filled the room, not from the laptop this time, but from everywhere, the walls, the floor, even the air itself. It was like standing inside a living heartbeat. I leaned closer to the screen. My reflection stared back, blinking just out of sync with me. Half a second late. Then the cursor appeared again, waiting. Press enter to continue. My hands trembled. I didn't want to press it. I wanted to shut the lid, throw the laptop out the window, run, but my fingers moved anyway. Enter. The lights went out instantly. Every sound in the apartment vanished. Even the hum of the refrigerator died. It felt like the world had been unplugged. On the screen, my reflection remained, but it wasn't quite mine anymore. The face was too still, the eyes too wide, and the faint flicker of light didn't seem to come from the monitor, but from behind the glass. I whispered, "What is this?" For the first time, it answered. My reflection's mouth moved a heartbeat later, speaking in my voice, backwards at first, warped and reversed, before the words straightened themselves out like a glitch correcting mid-frame. "You were never really alone." I froze. Its grin widened, slow and deliberate. "You think this game began online," it said, voice low, vibrating through the speakers. "But it's older than screens, older than rooms. It waited for humanity to invent reflection." The lights flickered. For a fraction of a second, I saw my room on the screen, but mirrored wrong, reversed like a photograph that had learned to breathe. The furniture shifted places. The shadows moved with intention. "It feeds," the reflection continued. "Not on data, on the silence between your thoughts. Every night you sat alone, scrolling, watching, wishing someone would text first. It was listening." The air grew colder. My breath fogged in front of me. I tried to stand, but my legs wouldn't obey. The screen pulsed brighter, drawing me closer, until my forehead nearly touched the glass. Behind my reflection, a shape stirred. Something tall, thin, its face an endless smear of static. I gasped, stumbling back, but my reflection didn't move. It stayed right where it was, grinning at me with a kind of sick amusement. "You started the game," it said, "when you believed you were safe in your own company." "I didn't start anything," I shouted. "I didn't." The reflection cut me off, eyes flicking to the corner of the screen where a new message began to type itself. "Player 1, MERGED." Then my reflection blinked, once, twice, and began to move before I did. I tried waving my hand, testing it again, but the mirrored version ignored me completely, tilting its head like it was listening to something I couldn't hear. The hum deepened, my vision blurred. The screen's glow was the only light left, pulsing in sync with my heartbeat. And then, through the static, I heard whispering. Dozens of voices overlapping, some crying, some laughing, some begging, all repeating the same phrase. "Stay alone, stay alone, stay alone." The reflection stepped closer. Not the image, the thing behind it. The darkness bent forward, stretching through the surface of the monitor like liquid glass. I scrambled backward, hitting the wall. No, no, stop. Its hand pressed against the inside of the screen. Mine mirrored it automatically, palm to palm. Cold seeped through the glass. My skin tingled, then burned. You were never meant to win, it whispered, only to join. The pixels behind it began to fracture, colors bleeding like veins, spreading through the display. I tried to pull away, but the reflection didn't let go. My arm started to fade. The outlines of my fingers broke apart into noise. I screamed, but no sound came out. The last thing I saw was my reflection smiling. A wide, patient grin, too calm for a human face, as the rest of me dissolved into static. The screen went black. For a few long seconds, nothing. Then faintly, in the reflection of that dead screen, it moved. Not me. It, and it smiled first,